everything. Zoey got the pretty face and attention to detail. Ruth got the rocking bod and the swagger. Ruth was carefree and vivacious, perfectly content grinding out her 9-to-5, inputting insurance claims for a big company in the financial district, and cutting loose every weekend. She broke hearts like peanut shells and could break a bone on any would-be assailant just as fast. Ruth lived setting her own rules and without regrets. The boss at her first job when she was 18 learned that lesson the hard way, along with the one about keeping your hands to yourself. After settling out of court what would have been a hefty sexual harassment lawsuit, Ruth packed up and never thought about Ohio again. She was so much damn fun, when she offered to let reserved, cautious Zoey become her roommate, it was a no-brainer, even if Zoey did have to acknowledge she was living vicariously through her sister, and sometimes woke up to nearly naked stockbrokers, lawyers, and/or piano bar players roaming around their Lower East Side apartment. "What's up?" Zoey got to the point after Ruth's ominous lead-off. "Derek figured out you got a cell phone." Zoey closed her eyes tight for a few seconds, leaning against the cap at the end of the candy aisle until she felt it start to give way. She quickly straightened back up, her grip tightening around both the phone and her precious bag. No. This is not what I need today. At least now Zoey had a pretty good idea who the unknown caller was. "Zoe?" Ruth asked when she got no immediate answer. "Yeah, I'm here. What did you tell him?" "Right now, I'm sorry I answered the phone, but he's becoming a pest. I don't mind lying by omission, but he flat out asked me if you had gotten one. I told you once you started screening his calls on the landline that he was going to know something was up." Zoey knew Ruth harbored a soft spot for Derek, probably because they both embraced their selfish sides. "What did you tell him? Did you give him my number?" "Of course not." Ruth sounded slightly put off. "I don't ever give out anyone's cell phone number without their permission. But I did promise him I would ask you if it's okay." "Well, you know the answer to that." Zoey heard Ruth's heavy sigh. "I'm too late. He did recite me your correct number, but I swear I didn't give anything away. I just said that I would ask you. I have one caller other than you. It keeps coming up as unknown. I don't think there is a scam in the world that wants to robocall me that much." Irritation whistled through her teeth. "This is the last thing I needed today." "You're going to have to talk to him eventually. He is your husband." "Only because he doesn't know when to quit." Zoey was loud and quick with the response. After noting the glances in her direction from other, usually aloof, Duane Reade shoppers, Zoey brought her tone back down to a whisper and took a few steps toward the door. "I can't deal with this right now, and I'm creeped out enough as it is." "Ah, the secret customer with his penchant for all things NOLA," Ruth said, back to being jovial. "Maybe he's the one who's been calling." "Nope. I have him in my contacts by name." "Of course you do." "What is that supposed to mean?" Zoey snapped with pent-up tension. She wasn't the one who collected phone numbers for a hobby. "I just meant that you're as conscientious as ever. Get a hold of yourself, little sis. Don't worry. I remember what you told me to do. If I don't hear from you by 3, that everything is on the up and up, I'm to call you. And if I get no answer, then call the police to tell them that you've been abducted by the Craigslist crawdad killer." Ruth was making too light of a situation she thought was serious. Zoey gave a quick, "That's right. Gotta go or I'm gonna be late. Thanks for the heads up." Zoey pushed the end button on the phone, cutting off Ruth's follow-up. Then she powered the phone down, even though that meant there would be no way to track her if she was kidnapped and thrown into the trunk of a car in the next 20 minutes. She dropped the phone back into her coat pocket and pushed the drugstore door open. She was back on the street. There was no problem with the pacing, since she felt the all-too-familiar urge to run. She also no longer appreciated the chill. All she felt was the heart-pounding flush that came with the feeling of